My kid came home from his first day at Australian school and said, "Dad, we had Japanese class, then swimming lessons, and I don't understand. Where are the metal detectors?" That's when I knew everything. I thought I understood about education was about to change. I went through American public schools. I have family and friends still teaching in them. Some American districts are doing incredible work. But after 2 years of watching my kids thrive in Australian schools, seeing what's actually possible when you prioritize children over politics, I can't stay quiet about what we're missing. Today, I'm sharing 11 shocks that changed how I think about education. Number 7 will hit you hard. It's about safety, and it's why thousands of American families are researching moves right now. But before we dive in, I need to acknowledge something important. Moving countries is a privilege. Most American families are locked into their districts by economics, jobs, family ties. I get that. This isn't a just move video. This is a here's what's possible, and here are American schools already making it happen video. Because the question isn't, why can't America be Australia? It's, what's stopping us from implementing these specific proven practices? Let's start with the thing I fought hardest against. I hated this idea. It felt authoritarian, anti-American, anti-freedom. Then the school provided a cost breakdown, full uniform, 5 shirts, 2 pants or skirts, jumper, hat, PE gear. $280 AUD for the year, my American clothing budget, $600, $800 USD annually per kid, and they were still getting bullied for not having the right brands. The uniform company has a second-hand program. Low-income families get vouchers. Nobody knows who paid full price and who didn't. My daughter's observation: "Mum, nobody talks about clothes anymore. We actually talk about ideas." But here's what really sold me. The school's uniform policy explicitly states, we remove economic barriers to education. They put it in writing. American schools doing this. Charter schools in Philadelphia, New Orleans, and parts of California have implemented uniform policies with sliding scale pricing and achieved 35% reduction in bullying reports. Still, uniforms were just the visible difference. The real shocks ran deeper. Australian kids play outside unless there's lightning or temperatures exceed 40 degrees, 104 degrees. Rain, outside, 50 degrees, 50, 59 degrees. Outside. Muddy, outside. The research backs this up. A 2024 study from University of Melbourne found that schools with minimum 90-minute daily outdoor time showed 47% fewer respiratory infections, better focus in afternoon classes, improved conflict resolution skills. Compare that to American schools, where 40% of elementary schools have cut recess to 20 minutes or less to maximize learning time. My son's PE teacher told me, "We're not just teaching sports, we're teaching risk assessment. You can't learn to assess risk in a padded room." The nuance: Australian rural schools struggle with heat and UV exposure. They're not perfect, but they've decided outdoor time is worth solving for, not eliminating. Every Australian child receives swimming instruction through the national curriculum. It's funded, it's mandatory, it's treated like literacy. Why? Because drowning is preventable, and Australia refuses to accept preventable child death. The stats are stark. US, 2024. Drowning remains the leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4, second for ages 5 to 14. Australia. Drowning deaths for children have dropped 85% since implementing national swim education in the 1970s. My 8-year-old can now identify rip currents and escape them, tread water for 10 minutes, perform basic rescue techniques, swim 200 meters continuously. His American cousins his age still using floaties in the shallow end. The swim coordinator told me, "We're an island nation surrounded by water. This isn't optional, it's survival." American programs doing this. Goldfish Swim school partners with Title I schools in 15 states to provide free lessons. The Red Cross offers subsidized programs, but they reach less than 12% of low-income children. Why isn't this federal? Why isn't this funded? Because we've accepted that pool access is a privilege, not a right. In America, I watched my son compete against his classmates. Curve grading, class rankings, zero-sum success. Here, the approach is different, though I initially misunderstood it. Australians have something called tall poppy syndrome, the cultural tendency to cut down people who elevate themselves above others. I was warned it would crush my kids' ambition. But what I actually witnessed wasn't anti-excellence, it was anti-arrogance. High-achieving students are encouraged to help struggling students, not for extra credit, because that's what communities do. My son's observation: in Virginia, if I finished first, I won. Here, if I finish first but my teammate is stuck, we both lose. The results speak. 2024 PISA scores. Program for International Student Assessment. Reading, Australia number 8 globally, US number 16. Math, Australia number 13 globally, US number 28. Science, Australia number 10 globally, US number 19. Both countries are diverse, multicultural, and face similar challenges. The difference isn't the students, it's the philosophy. But let's be honest, Australia struggles with its own issues, significant achievement gaps between urban and rural students, and persistent disparities for Indigenous students. They haven't solved everything. They've just decided cooperation is a feature, not a bug. NAPLAN, National Assessment Program, tests Australian students in years 3, 5, 7, and 4 times in their entire K-12 education. No SAT, no ACT, no AP exams. Their university admission system, ATAR, is based on final year coursework, not a single high-stakes test. My daughter's American friend visited and was genuinely confused. Wait, you just learn things without wondering if it's on the test? Yes. Wild concept. Meanwhile, in America, students take an average of 112 standardized tests between pre-K and grade 12. American teachers spend 30% of instructional time on test prep. Australian teachers assess constantly through projects, presentations, portfolios, practical demonstrations. They just don't need bubble sheets to tell them who's struggling. American districts breaking free. New York's Performance Standards Consortium, 38 schools, replaced standardized tests with performance assessments. Results: 90% graduation rate versus 73% citywide average and higher college persistence. It can be done. We just have to want it. 25. Australian teacher salaries starting $78,000, $88,000 AUD, $52,000, $59,000 USD. Experienced $110,000, $130,000 AUD, $73,000, $87,000 USD. Vacation, 12 weeks annually. Class size caps, 25 students maximum in primary 2025 American teacher salaries. Starting $41,000 USD, national average. Experienced $65,000 USD, national average. Vacation, 8-10 weeks unpaid. Class sizes 28 to 35 students common. My kid's teacher has a master's in education from Sydney University. In America, with her qualifications, she'd be making 90K in corporate training. But here's what shocked me most. Parents respect teachers here. There's no "my child would never" culture. If the teacher identifies an issue, parents listen first, defend second. One teacher told me, "In 17 years, I've never been screamed at by a parent, threatened with a lawsuit, or had my professional judgment dismissed. I couldn't respond." Because in America, that's a Tuesday. The American reality: 55% of US teachers are considering leaving the profession. Not because they don't love kids, because they can't afford rent. This is the one that broke me. I'm going to try to get through it. My kids have never hidden in a closet practicing being silent while a shooter tries door handles. They've never barricaded a door with desks. They've never been taught code words for "this is real, kids are dying." They've never participated in an active shooter drill. They have fire drills, earthquake procedures. That's it. When I explained American lockdown drills to an Australian mother, she stared at me in disbelief. "You make kindergarteners practice for being murdered at school?" Yes. We do. Starting at age 5. The American Reality 2025 data. 95% of US schools conduct active shooter drills. Children as young as 3 participate. Studies show these drills increase anxiety, depression, and trauma symptoms. Zero evidence they prevent casualties. Meanwhile, Australia's approach. Strict gun legislation passed in 1996 after Port Arthur massacre. Since then, 0 school shootings in 29 years. Not one. My son asked me last month, "Mum, why did we have to practice hiding from the bad guys in America?" I still don't have an answer. Because there isn't a good one. For American parents watching, I see you. I know you're carrying this weight. Organizations like Everytown for Gun Safety and Sandy Hook Promise are fighting for change. Links in the description. Our kids deserve better than living in fear. Pause to reset. Let me shift to something more hopeful. Every student is sorted into a house. Waratah, Banksia, Grevillea, wattle, native Australian flowers. Year 12 students mentor Year 1 students in their house. They earn points together for academics, sports, citizenship, environmental work. I thought this was cheesy corporate team building. Then I watched it work. My introverted son became obsessed with earning points for Banksia House. He started picking up trash, 5 points, helping younger kids, 10 points, volunteering for Reading Buddy program, 20 points. Not for a grade. Not for college applications. For his house. The genius. It creates multi-age friendship. Year 11 students aren't too cool to help Year 2 kids. They're literally on the same team. American schools with house systems, Ron Clark Academy, Atlanta, KIPP Schools, National Network, and increasing numbers of public schools are adopting this model with measurable results in bullying reduction and school belonging. The principal told me, competition for collective good builds character. Competition for individual status builds ego. Every Australian student learns a second language starting in kindergarten. Every single. My 6-year-old is learning Japanese. My 10-year-old is conversational in Indonesian. The reasoning: Australia is geographically part of Asia Pacific. Their economic future depends on Asian relationship. Mandarin, Japanese, Indonesian aren't nice to have, they're strategic. Compare this to America. Only 20% of K-12 students study a foreign language. Most start at age 14, too late for optimal language acquisition. 10% of universities have dropped language requirements entirely. My Spanish education, 4 years in high school. Current ability, ¿Dónde está el baño? A teacher explained, "We're not teaching languages as a party trick. We're teaching them because monolingualism is a professional liability in 2025. She's right. The World Economic Forum lists multilingualism as a top 10 skill for the future workforce. American programs succeeding. Dual language immersion programs, Spanish-English, Mandarin-English, in Portland, San Francisco, and Utah, show bilingual students outperforming monolingual peers in all subjects, not just language. This wasn't in my original observations, but American parents kept asking, so I dug in. Australia's approach. Presumption of mainstream placement with support, not segregation. Students with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, and other learning differences are in regular classrooms with learning support officers, dedicated aides, individualized education plans, similar to IEPs. Sensory break spaces, modified assessments that test knowledge, not format compliance. My son's classroom has 23 students. 3 have formal learning support. I didn't know which 3 for 6 months because the support is seamlessly integrated. The American contrast. Many districts still track special ed students into separate classrooms, limiting peer interaction and setting lower expectations. But here's the nuance. Australian rural and remote schools struggle to access specialists. Indigenous students with disabilities face compounding disadvantages. They haven't solved everything. They've just rejected the premise that different learners need to be separated. American schools leading, Inclusive Schools Network, Universal Design for Learning, UDL, framework, and inclusive practices in Madison, WI, and Boulder, CO show. Integration benefits all students. Australian schools let kids be kids in ways that would have American parents calling lawyers. Kids climb trees at recess, play with sticks, navigate disputes before teachers intervene, walk to school independently from age 8. The cultural phrase, "she'll be right," meaning it'll work out. Kid falls from tree, she'll be right. That's how you learn limit. Kids arguing, she'll be right. Let them solve it. Scraped knee, she'll be right. Put some ice on it. Research from University of Queensland, 2024. Children with high outdoor risk play show better executive function, higher resilience scores, superior conflict resolution, lower anxiety rates. My helicopter parenting has been forcibly grounded. And honestly, my kids are more capable because of it. An Aussie teacher told me, "We're raising adults, not extending childhood. Every problem we solve for them is a skill they don't develop." American programs embracing risk, land-based learning programs, Waldorf schools, and recess renaissance initiatives in schools across Texas, Vermont, and Washington are seeing similar results. Let's talk money, because this matters. Australian public school annual costs, 2025. Tuition, $0, truly free. Voluntary contributions, $200, $600 per year. Uniforms, $280, with second-hand options. Swimming, languages, sports. Included. Total, about $500, $900 annually. American public school annual costs, 2025. Tuition, technically $0, but funded by property taxes, creating massive inequality. School supplies, $150 and $300. Clothing, $600, $800. Sports fees, $200, $1,500 per sport. Class fees, lab fees, technology fees, $300, $800. Fundraisers, expected participation, $200, $500. Total, $1,453,900 annually. And that's before tutoring, increasingly necessary as class sizes grow. SAT, ACT Prep, $500, $2,000. AP exam fees, $96 per exam. Free public education in America increasingly isn't. Here's what haunts me. None of this is impossible. Australia decided kids deserve safety without militarization, learning without constant testing, teachers treated as professionals, life skills like swimming and languages, the freedom to be children. They're not richer than us. They're not smarter. They're not some homogenous utopia. They have 26 million people from every culture on Earth. So what's America's excuse? When I share this with American friends, the response is always, "That's great, but it could..." Why not? We're supposedly the greatest country on Earth, but we can't figure out what Australia, Finland, Singapore, and Canada have figured out. Or we don't want to, because fixing it would require challenging the gun lobby, paying teachers properly, valuing children's well-being over test scores, admitting we've been wrong, and that's harder than accepting the unacceptable. If you're an American parent feeling helpless, here are specific actions. 1. At your school, advocate for outdoor recess minimums. Research, recess renaissance movement. Propose house systems for community building. Push back against excessive testing. Join opt-out movements. Demand transparency on active shooter drill policies and trauma impact. At district level, attend school board meetings. They're shockingly underattended. Support teacher salary increases and retention programs. Advocate for second language programs starting in elementary research. Universal Design for Learning, UDL, for inclusive education. Organizations. Creating change. Let grow. Free-range childhood advocacy. Fair test, ending high-stakes testing. Every town for gun safety. Evidence-based gun reform. Learning Policy Institute. Research on what actually works. Dual Language Learner Alliance. Language education. Schools already doing this. Ron Clark Academy, Atlanta. House Systems. Teacher Respect. Performance Standards Consortium. NYC. No standardized tests. Escuela Verde, Milwaukee. Outdoor-focused, project-based high-tech high, San Diego. Integrated, project-based learning. You're not powerless. You're just one person. But school boards are changed by consistent voices. My kids won't return to American schools, not because I'm unpatriotic, but because I've seen what childhood can be when we choose children over politics. Australia isn't perfect. They have educational inequality, especially for Indigenous students and rural communities. They have their own debates and failures. But on the fundamentals, safety, teacher respect, letting kids be kids, they've made choices we refuse to make. And the saddest part? When American kids visit my kids here, they don't ask about kangaroos or beaches. They ask, "Wait, you're not scared at school?" "No, sweetheart, they're not. And neither should you be." Comment below, what shocked you most? Americans, what's one thing you're going to advocate for? Australians, what did I miss or get wrong? Subscribe if you want honest comparisons of what life is like when countries prioritise people over profit. We've been told certain things are impossible. I'm watching my kids live the impossible every single day.